My name is Natalie Minor, and the article I read is called Finding Clues in a Fearful Brain by Joseph Ledoux. The purpose of this article was to describe the relationship between anxiety and fear in terms of bodily responses and effective treatment. The author intended to convey that understanding the brain mechanisms involved in both conditions separately as well as where they overlap will eliminate the current challenges we face when it comes to diagnosis and treatment. In terms of where they overlap, I learned that the amygdala plays a key role in both anxiety and fear. In fear responses, a very small and specific part of the amygdala is responsible for the association between the sensory information and the response. The neural mesh created in this region later activates the cells and triggers the defense response single-handedly, even if the adverse event never ensues. Patients with anxiety disorders also tend to have heightened amygdala activity, even in the absence of an immediate threat. If I were to further my research on this topic, I would do extensive research on each condition separately first, and I might expect to find an overlap in the brain mechanisms involved, not only in the amygdala but in other regions, and then I would continue to do extensive research in those areas as well. In relation to our textbook, the article touched on Pavlovian conditioning and its relation to our fear response. Ivan Pavlov discussed his classical conditioning theory that concluded if you pair a neutral stimulus with an excitatory one, the neutral stimulus will eventually elicit the response that was associated with the original unlearned reflex. So, for example, in fear responses, a stimulus such as an auditory tone, if it were to occur at the same time as a painful event, the tone would become associated with that pain and thereby produce a protective fear response. This fear response would ensue even if the adversive event never followed. Classical conditioning although it's a causative factor of a fear response, it can also be used as a preventative measure for anxiety disorders such as phobias through extinction learning, in which the patient is exposed to a phobic stimulus repeatedly in a safe context, which will therefore weaken the fear elicited by the stimulus.